Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Steve, Operations Director at Aura Technology. And over the past couple of years, AI has moved from being an interesting concept to becoming a genuine business tool. But one of the biggest challenges that organizations are facing isn't the technology itself, it's knowing how to introduce it in a way that engages both the leadership and the employees and delivers measurable return on that investment. And that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today. So it isn't going to be death by PowerPoint. It's going to be an honest, open boardroom conversation. And I'm delighted to be having that with my colleague, Adam Galski, Head of AI at Aura. And I'll hand over to Adam now to introduce himself.
Hello. So as Head of AI, I help organizations work out what AI is genuinely going to do for them and help them to actually get there. So I think the first thing is probably the most difficult one to describe, but most organizations I talk to don't actually have an AI problem. They have a change problem that happens to have AI right in the middle of it.
Okay, so look, let's just dive into it. We've got 45 minutes. We're hoping that some of you have got some questions. And what we'd like to do is cover some of those questions at the end, maybe give sort of 10 minutes or so for that. So we're just going to get straight into it. Why are AI projects failing to deliver business value?
So I think the first thing I'd take from that is the word value. It is clearly around measurements and KPIs. So one of the biggest failures is making the measurement too complicated.
Yeah.
So you can't even track whether you are getting a return of investment. It also then becomes really hard to explain. So you get called in by your director of finance and you can't even explain what needle they're expecting to move where or when. So that also then kind of drives into tracking the wrong thing, looking at the wrong lever.
Yeah.
The tendency with businesses is to look at cost or revenue. And AI is very slow to move either of those.
Okay. So maybe we can cover a little bit on sort of leading indicators for a good AI adoption and then maybe some of the trailing indicators. But it's not just about measurement, because we've actually seen some companies measure it really well. What are the other reasons?
So I would say potentially diving in at the deep end. So stripping out an entire process and then just trying to automate the whole thing.
Right.
There's a lot of survivor bias out there around that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we've done it and it works. Well, yeah, you might be one of the 5% who actually survive that process.
Yeah.
So having a really structured approach, like crawl, walk, run, is really important.
Yeah.
So in the context of AI, crawl could be that AI drafts a reply, but a human has to review it and send it.
Okay.
Walking might be AI is trusted to draft the reply from your knowledge base, and then it sends it to the person to send.
Yeah.
So do a final check, review, and then send on. And then running would be the fully autonomous thing where AI is trusted to send the email.
So no human in the loop at that point. That's when you're running.
Well, I think you still keep the human in the loop for where it doesn't fully align with the knowledge base. If there's something that falls outside, you pass that to a human. But anything that is clearly structured, falls firmly into I know what the right answer to this is, you use AI to send, so trigger the automation.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you here because it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Start small. I've seen companies that have started small and they have started on maybe 10 small AI initiatives, and then I've had that boardroom conversation with, the finance director or CEO, and they said, Steve, I haven't seen any return on those initiatives. So why would I invest more money in bigger initiatives? So what's your response to that then?
Well, my take on that is probably starting small is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But have they clearly defined how they're measuring the success of those initiatives?
Yeah.
And it then comes down to the outcomes. So what measurements were being used to actually say whether that was successful or not? And as we were saying earlier, you can see that needle moving, but it might be 6 to 12 months down the line before cost and revenue even see a change from small operational gains.
Yeah. And I think there are some really small steps, and we can go on to those a little bit later, that will have a shift fairly early on. I think one of the key things as well is actually who owns the AI initiative in a business, because what I've seen is companies looking to the IT department saying, you're technical, you know a bit about AI, you're going to own this for the business. And in my experience, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I think honestly that's the big one, is that the business treats AI as an IT project.
Yeah.
They give it to IT to manage. They assign a project manager, gets a rollout plan, cut-off date.
Yeah.
It's just treated like any other IT project.
Yeah.
But it's transformational change. And with any change management plan, you need to bring the people with you. So I think the failure there is probably it's not been done in the right way. Obviously you don't want to change someone's job overnight and they walk in and the process is totally different.
Yeah.
You need to involve them in that process change, make sure the stakeholder who owns it is involved in that process.
Yeah. So the question's coming. Who owns it? Who owns it? So you're saying that then there needs to be a number of stakeholders in the business that are invested in the AI initiatives then ultimately?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but it needs to be those who are accountable for the outcome.
Yeah.
Effectively need to own that initiative and that change.
Okay. So I think I'll share a little bit with the viewers now how we've done it here. So we've created an AI steering committee, and that committee consists of members from a number of areas of the business that we meet monthly. We discuss some of the ideas that have been sort of put into the melting pot, and we agree within that meeting whether it's worth the investment, how we're going to measure it, and then obviously that initiative becomes something that we're talking about in every meeting. So I think that for us has been a way to implement a lot of AI initiatives in a really controlled, measurable way that ultimately, is keeping shareholders happy.
Yeah. I mean, nothing gets signed off without a measurement.
Yeah.
Without some kind of way of tracking it.
Yeah. And try and keep those measurements really simple. So let's move on then. So we're talking about leadership here, and specifically, let's talk about what leadership teams, leaders are getting wrong with AI adoption currently, because we've seen quite a bit of that having sort of parachuted you into customers that have invested quite heavily in AI, and suddenly, they are they've realised they don't have a strategy. They've realised that the leadership team isn't actually using the AI that's been invested. So
well, that's it, isn't it? It's like leadership not adopting.
Yeah.
Is probably the first and simplest thing to fix.
Yeah.
So not asking them to change everything they're doing, but more use it for something real once a week. talk about it. And that's the critical thing, isn't it? About communicating out that we as a leadership team are using AI, you're safe to use AI, we do it. And then the best thing that you could probably do is share your mistakes. Like, explain where AI got it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, the example I like to give is like, I used it to prepare my board pack and it made this mistake. I mean, it's classic, isn't it? I've used it to present something and what I presented has got a mistake in it. It's the pitfall that most people fall into straight away.
Okay, so we've got some amazing customers, and behind those businesses are amazing leaders and business people. But some of those are just not technically minded. So we're saying some of the failings are that the leadership team aren't adopting the AI, and it's a cultural change within a business. It's top down, but they're not techie.
Yeah.
So what do they do?
So in that scenario, I think it's around focusing on the problem in the right way.
Okay.
Calling in the right people, asking for help. Yeah. And the best thing that, as a plan that you can do as a business, is to give everybody training. It's all inclusive.
Yeah.
Like for finance, you might give them more targeted training on spreadsheets. Sales might be around emails, but give everyone training on the products.
Yeah.
And that's for an adoption conversation, but it's quite a common mistake to just give them the license and expect change.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about starting small, crawl, walk, run. I think some of the business leaders that aren't technically minded, they can start small, whether that's using Copilot on a daily basis to just make their work somewhat easier, drafting an email, pulling a report together. And that's where you want to have that really good sort of dovetailed into the organization, a really good adoption and training plan ultimately.
And we've seen it with non-technical people, that it's like a ramp up. Suddenly they realize what AI can do for them and start using it everywhere. So it is really transformational.
Yeah. So some of the other mistakes that we have seen within leadership teams, and we're going to talk about it because ultimately AI does cost money. They are looking at AI through a cost lens, aren't they? And you really feel strongly that's a mistake.
I do. I mean, look, cost and revenue, perfectly legitimate to look at, and you need to look at it as a business. So I'm not saying their metrics are wrong.
Yeah.
So they are really important metrics and they matter.
Yeah.
But it's a terrible lens for looking at change.
Yeah. Okay.
So they move slower. They're like the slowest dial that you can look at when you're implementing change. Change takes time to have an impact, especially with AI, because it might make someone more quick and agile at doing something. It might give them more capability. It can increase the quality of what they're doing. And it can increase customer experience. So over time, those are really difficult things to track.
Yeah.
Customer sentiment will change slowly. They might then be willing to spend more, so your revenue might change. But that's not going to be an overnight thing. So I would say probably the mistake there is about watching the wrong thing, expecting the lever to move, the dial to change.
Yeah. Heavily focused on cost, looking for an instant sort of step change within the organization. You're talking about making the measurement too complicated, or actually not even following through with the actual measuring of.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about making the IT department, solely responsible for AI adoption. So can we just touch briefly as well on the compliance and governance bit, because this is a hot topic, and we're seeing a lot of other, AI training companies talking about compliance and governance, and it's scary messaging that they're sending out there about.
I think it's the greatest FOMO tool for selling.
Yeah.
And actually, for me, the compliance and governance side of it is actually an accelerator. So we can overcome a lot of the problems using tools that we have, automatically finding sensitive data, looking at old files. I mean, that's probably the scariest one, of like AI goes into something that you sold 15 years ago, or you would have recommended 15 years ago, and then puts it front and center to one of your clients. Like, you don't want that to happen. So that side of kind of compliance and governance can be dealt with very easily. I think the roadblock is to the AI initiatives. And for that, like, and I want to be really careful here that I'm not anti-governance, because I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, we're a heavily governed organisation with what we do.
This is kind of security first work. I mean, we do not publish anything out externally until we're happy with the security and sort of pen testing, etc. But I think as an organisation, we've learned that some things are okay. Like email drafting, document template building, kind of build something that an expert is then going to use to complete, is kind of like that's automatically fine. We know that the expert knows their responsibility. We've communicated that out as a leadership team, that this is the right way to work. So that has become very kind of safe. It's more, if it's making a financial decision, or if someone suggests using it for HR, we might kind of block that off straight away. And you define out your kind of stoplight, your RAG for what's acceptable use of AI within your organisation.
Yeah, and that's something that we can help all of our customers with. And I mentioned earlier the steering committee that we've put together, that includes our compliance and governance director, and him being involved in that, it's sort of very easy to get the buy-in. He's part of that. He's part of the initiatives that we are coming up with and getting sign off for. So I'm just going to sort of move it on as well, because we've got some questions coming in that are great questions. I definitely want time to cover them. So we're talking a lot about measuring the ROI. You've just mentioned that you sort of have to measure it far beyond the revenue. How do we measure the return of AI projects when that isn't actually going to be showing up necessarily in the revenue, maybe on the bottom line initially, that sort of thing? So what is the approach there? Because I imagine there's a lot of sort of FDs that know that a business needs to do something with AI, but there's the concern there about just throwing money at it and actually doesn't enable the business to.
Obviously, the money you're investing is then going to affect your gross margin, your bottom line figures. So I think by the time it shifts, it could be 2 or 3 quarters ago that you put the investment down. So really, in that scenario, if revenue is your primary metric, you've got to go careful not to kill it before giving it a chance to actually work. So that needs to be factored into your planning for the AI initiative. You need to have clear measurements. So I would put forward a couple of metrics that I know are going to change quickly. There'll be an indicator of sort of early success measurement, and then probably some longer term expectations around how that's going to affect bottom line.
So we're looking at, I think, we're looking at it in a couple of parts, really. So we're looking at early indicators, and maybe we can talk about those a little bit later on with with a sort of language model adoption as an example. And then we're looking at the lagging indicator, which is actually a transformation in maybe the P&L of a company for the initiatives that we've put in place. There is a big focus when businesses are looking at AI. There's a real focus on time saved, hours saved. It's saved. What's your view on that?
So most of the time they stop at the hour, and someone who gets 2 hours back a week, 2 hours back a week.
Yeah.
The model multiplies that by head count.
Okay.
And actually that becomes your ROI number. It's almost worthless.
Yeah.
And the real gains are in things that are much harder to measure, like quality of the output.
Yeah.
And the customer engagement and customer experience. That's where the extra time they have, they can take more care of using the right words, putting the right things down, making sure they haven't missed something or made a mistake where they're rushing to get something out the door. Yeah. I think that's the real return of investment of kind of taking that time around the adoption.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to measure, isn't it?
It is. And I've seen companies that have had a great approach to implementing AI in various areas of the business to mean that the staff aren't sort of bogged down with administrative duties and the non-exciting part of their role, and they are skilled workers and they are freed up to do more and do the work they actually want to do. Therefore, the business overall is benefiting because they're able to service more customers and service them way better, right? So I think that is a really good point that you've made. But let's talk a little bit about, so that's sort of on the back end of the investment. Let's talk about the leading indicators, and let's give some advice to the viewers around where you might be able to identify some leading indicators with quite a simple maybe AI deployment of, let's say, Copilot premium licenses.
So I think that email drafting, those kind of quick calculations in Excel, you've got drafting of documents, turning meeting transcription into actions, build a presentation from, one of my favorite things that we do through the training program we do, and it's all interactive, is to show users how to turn sort of transcript into an Excel summary.
Okay.
How to take Excel summary and turn that into an executive summary for the board.
Yeah.
And then how to turn the executive summary into a short 5 bullet point per slide presentation.
Yeah.
That helps you deliver that message right. So it goes from totally different mediums all the way through. And we hear a lot of the time Copilot doesn't work as well, but it works really well if you use it from the tool in which its intended output will be in.
Yeah.
So like if you're doing a presentation, open Copilot in the presentation software, not in Word, and try and push the presentation out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we are a Microsoft first organization, and we're speaking to our customers around Copilot adoption. We think that's the foundational layer.
Yes.
And we're looking at the leading indicators. So a company's invested in Copilot premium licenses, maybe initially for their leadership team, and then maybe for others. We're looking here at tracking the sort of adoption and usage. but you need to do that in a way that doesn't feel like surveillance for the employees as well. So what's your view on that? Because there's been a lot of conversations in boardrooms we've had in the last couple of weeks around early indicators is tracking the usage of the language model, that has been given to your staff to use. And then it's like, well, hang on a minute, is that surveillance on what they're actually asking the language model?
It's like Big Brother situation.
Yeah.
Well, the useful parts and the best thing to do is be really transparent with staff about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so by being transparent, it gives them the confidence that you're not watching every prompt, because we wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah.
There are tools out there that can do it, and Purview can from a data leak or data loss prevention point of view, and sensitivity labeling. So like using bank details in a document and sharing that publicly.
Yeah.
But I think really the transparent part is important, because you need to monitor how well the adoption's going.
Yeah.
And these are kind of indicators for who is using it heavily. Actually, they're probably the person to go and speak to and try and see if you can share what they're doing with everyone else and make them into a champion of AI for you within your business. And then the ones who aren't using it so much, probably the ones who don't get it, don't understand how that's actually going to help them.
Yeah.
And they would be the ones to go and focus the time with and give them extra time and training to help kind of keep them and bring them along. They're probably the ones who know the most about the business as well, because they've been doing it since the beginning.
Yeah. Look, and I think as a board member, if I'm investing in Copilot licenses for some team members, I mean, we've seen organizations have actually just bought it for every member of staff. I am interested in not what they're asking, what they're prompting, but how much they're using it, because I know that if they are using it a lot, it's obviously making them more efficient, whether it's drafting an email, pulling a proposal together, whatever it is. So I think that is a great leading indicator. And obviously, anyone unsure how to do that, then that's something that we could maybe even do a session on. So let's move on then, in the interest of time, because we've had a couple of questions drop in as well. So what are the practical ways you can increase AI adoption within your business?
Well, I've mentioned about champions.
Yeah.
So they're the people to pull out their ideas, share their ideas, to increase positivity around AI. Training still matters. I think is really important to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And it does need to be role-specific training as well as sort of general training. So along with general training, we do reasoning, spotting hallucinations, like some basics around understanding what's being put in front of you from the response, and how it arrived there. I think that's really critical to good use of AI.
Yeah.
And then I think the AI can improve productivity. Well, actually, calling out, it could save 40 minutes in this role by using AI to do this, and this has more value as a business.
Yeah.
So using clear language to explain where we have seen good use of AI will actually trigger use of it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Compared to just, it can improve the productivity. No one's going to be inspired by that.
Yeah. So you're looking at the approach being AI champions. They're not necessarily people on the leadership team, it's people from across the business. And I think one of the points that I'll add in there is we've gone to businesses and sat with the leadership team, and they are new to AI adoption, so we're helping them. But what we've uncovered as part of that sort of strategy process we take them through, where we meet with members of the organization at all different levels, and we get their suggestions for maybe a workflow that could be that could be improved with AI, is we're finding people within the organizations at different levels that actually have an interest. They're like an AI hobbyist. It's like, right, this person for you needs to be one of your champions because they've got great ideas and they're interested in it. So, do look within your employee base and look for these people, because I'm certain that you're going to have people interested in AI within the business, and make them champions. And let's talk a little bit about sort of people suggesting ideas to leadership around AI usage before we move on to the cultural part a little bit more. What's leadership's role in that?
Well, I think that it needs to be encouraged, and ideas that can actually help the business often require the business to work differently.
Yeah.
So it's important to visually recognize that person for that idea.
Yeah.
Even if that idea doesn't get taken forward, you create a safe space for the ideas to come out. So you're kind of demonstrating we want to hear those suggestions. No matter how wacky some of them might be, some of those are possible with AI. It kind of redefines the art of the possible.
Yeah.
So they all need hearing.
Yeah.
And if you don't build that culture, you won't get those ideas.
We wanted to be the best use case of AI before we actually felt credible taking that out to our customers, didn't we? So as part of that process, you spent time with every department in the business to get their suggestions and ideas, and we got a feel as well for who should be part of the AI steering committee. And I think that was a really interesting process for us to go through. And I think how many hundred ideas we have from people that, genuinely all of those could have made a real difference to this business.
Well, it was over 400.
Yeah. So we had to distill them down into something that was actually, realistic to achieve. I think we started with a 6-month plan.
Well, a lot of them had a lot of overlap, so we kind of condensed it down.
Yeah.
And then we picked the ones that were going to cause the biggest waves.
Yeah.
That would eliminate the most boring work or would shift the needle easily enough for us to see.
Yeah.
That make those safe initiatives to start with, because you're not spending hours trying to prove a return of investment.
Yeah.
You can see that straight away.
Absolutely. And you've touched a few times on, AI, it's transformational business change. Any transformation in a business, it's sort of top down. Culture is a key thing here. So we're going to step on to you mentioning culture a few times. What does the right culture actually look like in terms of AI transformation?
So, I worry that you'll hear AI strategy and it won't one day become part of the overall business strategy.
Right.
So for me, I think there's going to be a shift in kind of mindset towards AI being totally interwoven into business strategies in the future, and that you won't run them as two separate things. There should be an AI strategy right now because it's such a new idea and concept to change the way your business is working. But I think that over time it'll just become commonplace.
Okay.
On the people side, you've said about culture and it's change, it's transformational change. The most common failure is people. So you've got to bring them with you. You've got to be honest. You've got to call out where you are using AI or where you are considering using AI, and then help you achieve it.
Yeah,
I think is the key message there.
Yeah, you need to bring your people with you on this journey, and
AI, it's inclusivity, isn't it?
It is, and AI in the media can be a scary thing. And there's lots of talk of it's replacing everyone's jobs and it's going to become sentient. And, I think you just need to make sure that you're sending the right messaging. And my advice is as well is it's the why. Why are we doing this? Well, we're going to remove all of the really boring stuff that you need to do day to day, so you're freed up to do the really exciting stuff. Or we're using it to create more leads for the business, or we're going to serve our customers better, happier customers. So it's cultural, it's top down, it's having a strategy, and it's having your champions, and it's at times working with a partner, like us, that can help you with your training plan, your sort of readiness to adopt AI. Let's just move on in the interest of time then, just to our last point. And this is great, because we're going out meeting with businesses, talking about AI, and we're seeing businesses that are spending lots of money and they are still being left behind. They're not seeing value from that investment in AI. And then we're seeing companies that are really strategic with it and investing, little pockets of money into different AI initiatives, and they are transforming their businesses. Genuinely, we've seen it. So what's the differentiator here? So actually the viewers can sort of understand where these businesses are going wrong, and then where the other businesses are actually doing it well.
I think obviously the first thing I'll say is watch out for the survivor bias.
Right.
It's that old kind of planes coming back with holes in, and they go and reinforce the place where the holes are, but actually it's where they didn't get holes is where it matters, because they're the ones that don't come back. Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately it's the commonality is they're focusing on the outcomes, not on the technology.
Yeah.
For the ones that are being successful at the moment. Mm-hmm. So don't get bogged down in picking the tool, because the tools change week in, week out.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute, ChatGPT's got the best model and it's benchmarking the best, and the next it might be Claude. Yeah. Obviously, Copilot uses ChatGPT. Like, it's a race.
Yeah.
But the tools are actually really good at specific tasks. Mm. And so you've got to pick the right tool for the right job. And sometimes it might even be the one getting the worst news and the worst press might be the best tool for the job. So some of the smaller language models that you might want to host locally later on, when you get down to that kind of point in your AI journey, that I would almost kind of close off the press, and I would actually go and test and base it on what success do I get, how many times does it get it right, and start testing and training models to work out what the right tool for the job is.
Yeah.
Like I have it firmly in my mind that you probably don't want to pick Claude if you're doing videos and images, because it doesn't have a skill for it.
Yeah. Great. So look, we're going to move on to the questions now. We've got 5 or 6 minutes. There has been a bit of a theme in some of the questions that have come in, so I'm going to multitask now. So we've got some questions around, are there any good courses for sort of board or senior management? So we'll touch on that in a second. We've got maybe some concerns that non-skilled staff, as in non-skilled with AI, might be leaking company data. Question around how much data is staying in the 365 environment of a company when using Copilot. So let's start at the training part first.
Yeah.
So what's your recommendation for companies, particularly leadership teams, board, in terms of training?
I would say, for me, leadership teams would worry more about the reasoning, the hallucination, where could AI trip us up and get things wrong. Mm-hmm. So I would highly recommend they get some reasoning training,
right,
so that they understand better what their staff can do to prevent that kind of thing from happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do training if you're interested. But
well, yes.
Any reasoning training is worthwhile doing.
Yeah. So look, we do Copilot. We call them Copilot crash courses for sort of aimed at different levels within a business. We can do the training that at the end of it, you're creating your own agents to do things. So look, we just feel that investment in training here is a key part of the strategy.
It's the missing part from a lot of strategies as well. So
a lot of companies go, here's your license, off you go.
Yeah.
And we know that even sort of an afternoon training course, because we're measuring this obviously for the clients that we're working with, has got a massive step change in adoption once you're showing them how to prompt properly and how you can make their day-to-day job easier with Copilot. There's a question here, and I know that clearly there are products for this. How do you stop the data leaks?
Well, I think understanding the data you're using is kind of critical to that.
Yeah.
So Microsoft is a great example where Copilot has something called enterprise data protection built in. So even if you're not paying for Purview, which is their security and compliance center, it looks at what you're typing and asking and applies some logic to it to work out if it's sensitive in nature or if it's something commercially sensitive. And it won't do the internet part of the searches using the text that it can identify that it would be giving proprietary knowledge away. So that's built into Microsoft by default. When you start hooking up like other AIs to your 365 data, then having good labeling, automatic labeling probably is the best answer here. That identifies sensitive information, categorizes that file and says AI cannot use this file, or this file can't be shared externally, will stop AI from being able to consume it.
Okay, so two more questions and then we will wrap up. I'm conscious of keeping this on time. So this is a great question from Mark, actually. We're telling people to use AI more. But at the same time, there's criticism when you get an email or a document, and we've all seen them, that are overly AI generated. You've got sort of bold, font and things going on, certain key points in that. How do we help teams find the right balance between using AI, but also still being authentic, still being, that human voice?
So I think that's just around messaging, isn't it? And again, that's top down. So I've sat in a meeting where clearly the person I've met with has generated a document and they haven't actually read it.
Is my AI talking to your AI?
And you can spot it a mile away. And I mean, it gets that branding of AI slop, and it's frustrating. But actually, it's more that person hasn't taken that time to read and review and correct the output. Well, I would almost guarantee they're the kind of person that would probably have run out of time anyway and come to the meeting without having read the document had it not involved AI. AI has enabled them to come to the meeting with something compared to not at all.
Okay, really quick question. I think this one is, how important is it for a business to start drafting and implementing an AI policy?
Critical.
Absolutely. And if you need help with that, Craig, we're obviously doing that for a lot of our customers, and we've got, if you like, sort of a template of what it should look like. One final question then, on data cleansing. So AI can pick the most up-to-date, example or resource. Is it possible to select the right sources during setup, maybe with Copilot pointing it to, or do companies need to invest heavily in sort of data management, data cleansing, labeling before they do this?
The digital transformation they all thought they'd already done.
Yes.
this is a common theme actually on a lot of the strategy work that I do. I do this piece where I narrate out a story of like, I bet this is your background.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a 90% overlap of nearly every business.
Yeah.
Now, I think that using AI, using Copilot, Copilot enables you to wall off parts of 365 from Copilot.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go and label all your HR documents. You just ring fence HR from AI. Using third-party AI into there, not so easy to achieve. So you would need a labeling strategy.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's tools. We've got some great products. Come talk to us.
Yeah.
They will automatically label things. We can protect you from those press nightmares, really.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Alex, we haven't had time to answer your question, but Adam is very passionate about what is AI and what is robotic process automation, and actually how you sort of approach this. So we'd love to have a chat with you about that. So look, thank you everyone for joining this this webinar. It's obviously a first for Adam and I to have a conversation, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. And if you feel that this could become a series, you want to see more of these, then we'd be happy to do that. We can clearly we want to help you with your AI adoption strategy. So Adam is available to you for a conversation. Come and see us at our new Hedge End office, and let's have a conversation and see how we can help you. So thanks a lot, everyone, and please do get in touch.
Thank you.